One of the hardest things about communicating the grace message to religious people is getting them to see that they're not believing in Jesus for what he promised. That can be really hard to do because they often do believe in Jesus for something, but they believe in him for something less than what he is and what he actually offers. More on that in a moment.
Thanks for tuning into The Art of Grace. My name is Daphne, and your host is my dad, Sean Lazar.
Do you know what supplemental health insurance is? I didn't really know about it until I moved to the States from Canada. But you have your main health insurance coverage, and then you can buy a supplemental policy to help improve the coverage you already have. The supplemental policy can cover extra expenses or different services or catastrophic needs. Well, many Christians treat Jesus like supplemental insurance, and that makes it hard to communicate the grace message to them. The thing is, religious people, many of these religious people aren't atheists. They're committed Christians in whatever denomination they belong to who believe a great number of true things about Jesus. They even believe that he's their savior in some sense. The problem is their belief in him for salvation is not exclusive. They're not believing the true gospel. Instead, they also believe that salvation depends partly on their works. Religious people often recognize that if salvation depended on perfect behavior, they wouldn't stand a chance. But they don't usually think that's the case. They believe that the standard of salvation is that you just need to do your best and Jesus will do the rest. They believe that Jesus will then make up whatever you might lack. In other words, it's as though they're treating Jesus as if he was supplemental works insurance. Your primary insurance is your own righteousness, and if there's anything lacking there, then Jesus' supplemental works insurance kicks in and covers whatever costs you weren't able to pay. Now, is that what you believe? That's a weak gospel and a weak Jesus, and not how salvation works at all. You cannot mix grace and works. Grace plus works equals works. Romans 11:6 says, "Now if by grace, then it is not by works. Otherwise, grace ceases to be grace." In other words, if you mix works at all into your gospel, into your plan of salvation, it has ceased to be a grace gospel. The grace gospel is exclusive. It's just by grace, through faith, apart from works. None of your works are involved. How can I explain that salvation is all of grace? Well, in keeping with the medical imagery, imagine if you had a major health crisis and the medical bill was going to be through the roof in the millions and millions of dollars. What would you prefer? Would you prefer to try to pay it yourself, knowing you never could, or would you prefer if someone else footed the bill? I mean, you'd be crazy not to let someone else pay the medical bill for you. Well, that's the good news of the gospel. The good news of Jesus dying and rising for you. He paid it all so you can have eternal salvation for free. So here's your thought for the day. When your insurance policy failed, grace means Jesus paid the bill.
The Art of Grace is produced by Free Grace International. If we've been a blessing to you, consider being a blessing to us and become a monthly supporter. You can donate at www.freegrace.in.